Okay, right. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. So what we'll do is we'll just wait, give it a couple more minutes because obviously some people may be running late, but we are going to be going over paper one, so the entire walkthrough. Because obviously we've got the GCSE paper on Tuesday for language paper one, and language paper two on Thursday as well. So I just wanted to go over some key concepts and also go over some questions as well that a lot of students struggle with. Okay, so let's just give it a few minutes and then we can get started. In the meantime, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And also, can you hear me, importantly, right? Because sometimes it does like lag. It does start to buffer sometimes. So let me know. Leave a thumbs up if you are able to hear me. And then we can get started. Also, comment below if you joined us from our TikTok. Let me know if you joined from our TikTok channel. Just out of curiosity. And then we'll take it from there. Leave a thumbs up if you are able to hear us clearly, because sometimes we do face technical issues. So leave a thumbs up if you are able to hear us, and then we can get started. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to have to get started because of time. Okay, so there's 20 students on this TikTok live, and I think, to be honest, I think that's fine. We're going to have to get started regardless, and then obviously if students want to join, then they can join as well. If you want your friends to join, then I would definitely say, please share this YouTube live with your friends. Okay. Because we are going to be going over the entire paper. Is it clear? Are you able to see the screen? Leave a thumbs up if you are able to see the screen, and then we can get started. It's pretty blurry. Okay. Is it still blurry? I mean, for some reason I can see it clearly. It's not blurry, don't worry. Okay. Yeah, just zoom in. Okay, that's fine. Okay, hang on. What if I zoom in like that? Is that better? Does that work? You can see it, right? Hang on. There we go. Yeah, if you zoom in, it's better. Okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. So, what we can do is we can get started. So, first of all, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube live, okay, at Easy Education London. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all are doing well. And what we intend to cover in this YouTube live is your paper one. Paper one walkthrough from questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Comment below, which question do you struggle with? Just out of curiosity, comment below, what question do you struggle with the most? And perhaps we can spend some time on that question and look at that in further detail during this YouTube live. Let us know in the comments. So we've got creative writing, 3 and 5. Okay, so that's creative writing and structure. Question 4, question 4 evaluation. Question 3, question 4, 5, question 2, question 4 evaluation. Okay, it seems to me for most students that's questions 3, 4, 5, right? So don't worry. So we are going to go over in further detail. Okay, so here we go. So I hope this YouTube live is a productive one and is of benefit to you all. So thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. So let's begin. So here we go. So paper one for Tuesday. Okay, 1 hour 45. So first of all, I'm going to start off with section A. Okay, so I'm going to start off with question number one. So question number one every single year. So this is a walkthrough, by the way. Yeah, and then if you want to look at model answers, we can look at model answers, whatever. Anyways, the first question you'll be provided with, okay, it reads the following, and it'll always be worded in a similar way, right? It says, read again the first part of the source from lines 1 to 5. List 4 things about the old man from this part of the source. Now, all you have to do is look at those specific lines. So here, for example, you are looking at lines 1 to 5. And if you are listing 4 things, you simply list them. There's no need for you to explain or analyze anything. There's no need, okay? And because it's 4 marks, it's very straightforward, very simple. Just list them, just identify them, and then you move on, okay? And a tip I'll give you here for this question, list 4 things about the old man from this part. So you can start each one with, the old man is, ... That's 1 mark. Number 2, the old man is, ... That's 2 marks. Number 3, the old man is, ... 3 marks. And the 4th one, the old man is, ... That's it. There's no need for you to analyze. Okay, thumbs up if you're happy, and then we can move on to question 2. Thumbs up on the chat if you are happy, and then we can move on to question number 2. How long will this be? This TikTok live, I'll say maximum 45 minutes, okay? But if there's any question, then obviously I'll try my best to answer those questions as well, okay? Right, so that's question number 1. Thank you so much. Amazing. Excellent. Question number 2. Now, by the way, this has been taken out due to copyright, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to look at it in further detail later on, okay? So question 2 is always the language analysis question, okay? Now, how do we actually approach this question? What do we need to mention? What do we need to discuss? Okay, so let's break it down for you so you all have a better understanding. And then after that, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer your questions as well. Please give this YouTube live a double tap and like the TikTok live. Sorry, YouTube live. Sorry, I'm getting confused. How does the writer use language here to describe the old man? So the key focus, okay, for this question is language. Now, if you look at the mark scheme, for the exam, you are being assessed on AO2. So your ability to identify and analyze language and how language is used for effect. Now, whenever you identify language in the exam, I want you to focus on the effect. What is the effect of using these language techniques? That's important, and that's how you will get the top marks, okay? So here, it's about how language is used to describe the old man. So the quotes you choose, okay, should be linked to the old man, okay? And I always say this, you have to be meticulous. You have to be calculated with your quotations. You can't just pick any random quote and expect to write, a grade 9 answer. If it's not relevant, then you will struggle to analyze it. So that's why when you actually go into the exam on Tuesday or even on Thursday, make sure you read it and annotate it in thorough detail. And I've said this before, I've said on TikTok, spend 15 minutes. If once you started reading, once you read, simultaneously you start annotating. Now you may ask, but sir, what am I looking out for? So the good news is the exam board have actually given you some hints or some clues. By the way, they don't just put it there for decoration, for Halloween or something, but it's there for a reason, so you can use this for guidance. Now, just to expand and elaborate, I'm going to go over the template, don't worry, I'm going to go over the template as well. So you could include the writer's choice of words and phrases, okay? So what do they mean by words and phrases here? In simple terms, so let's use blue here. Your words and phrases, that includes how the writer uses adjectives, so the different word classes, how the writer uses verbs, how the writer uses adverbs, how the writer uses nouns, and so on, okay? So you will definitely find these in your extracts on Tuesday. That's a guarantee. I can guarantee you this. So whenever you do, whatever you find, you need to make sure, hang on. Whatever you do, whenever you find your adjectives, whenever you find your verbs, your adverbs, you need to ask yourself, does it link to the old man? Okay? If it does, then you've selected a relevant quote. And what I've realized is that sometimes students actually choose the incorrect quote, and that's why they struggle to analyze. So that's why you have to be very meticulous with your quotations. The second one, okay, language and techniques, okay. So this one we've spoken about many times before, right? So your language here is how the writer uses a metaphor, okay, how the writer uses personification and so on. Now I'm not going to list all of them, but you get the point, right? How does the writer use figurative language, and so on. So whenever you do find it, you need to explain. It's lagging. Oh no, it's laggy, it's too blurry, can't read. Okay, let's try this. Okay, can you see it now? Let me know. Leave a thumbs up if you are able to see it now. Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay, excellent. Yeah, I was getting worried there. Okay, thank you. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, leave a thumbs up if you would like us to do a YouTube live stream before paper 2 on Thursday, a full walkthrough. That would take place on Tuesday evening, possibly on Wednesday evening on YouTube. Leave a thumbs up if you would join that, where we are going to go over English language paper 2. Excellent. We've got 42 people or 42 students on this YouTube live. Thank you very much. So if you share whatever with your friends as well, right? Anyways, so simile, metaphor, personification. Another top tip I'm going to give you for your exam on Tuesday. Have you ever come across like a quote and you're thinking to yourself, hang on, is it a metaphor? Is it a simile? If you're unsure, you can actually get away with identifying it as imagery. Okay? So this is a hack for you. If you has this happened to you before, you come across a quote and you're struggling to think of the technique, let me know in the comment section below. Has this happened to you before, where you identify a quote but you're thinking, hang on, is this an example of a simile? Is it an example of alliteration? Yeah, all the time, exactly. So, if that does happen on Tuesday, a hack from myself, okay, and hopefully you can thank me for this, is you can actually identify this as imagery, okay? So, you can actually identify it as imagery. So, that's that. Also, your alliteration, okay, you will find alliteration on Tuesday for sure. You will find examples of emotive language, and so on. Now, I'm not going to list all of them, you get the point. But importantly, I'll show you how you can plan and write your answer, okay? So, you get the point for your similes, whatever. So, these are your techniques. So, let me just number them just to make it easy for you and just to make your life easier. So, number 1. So, for Tuesday, okay, for Tuesday, hang on. Sorry. For Tuesday, one paragraph on the adjectives, the verbs, the adverbs, the nouns. So that's your words and phrases. Number 2 could be on your language features and techniques. So you find examples of simile, metaphor, personification, whatever. And the third one, I'm just going to write here, is your sentence forms. Now, if we look at sentence forms in further detail, right? Sentence forms, it includes what? Okay, you may ask, but sir, what do you mean by sentence forms? So how does the writer use a complex sentence? Okay, how does the writer use a compound sentence? And by the way, you will find examples of these. Compound sentence, a short, simple sentence, and so on. Okay, now I'm not going to go through all of them individually, but just to give you an idea, in terms of your marks, in terms of your paragraphs, because it's 8 marks, you should spend roughly, okay, in terms of the structure, I'm just going to go over it right now just to make it easier for you. So let's do it in green. So you could be looking at writing PETAL times 3. Okay, so you are looking at Is this live going to stay forever in its channel? Yes, it will. Okay, so that's that. Isn't sentence form a structural feature? No, so for structural features, you're looking at the sentence lengths, the paragraph lengths, nightlife. So that would fall under structure. So when you look at the lengths of the paragraphs, the lengths of the sentences, things like that. Now, just to go over the template and how to structure your answer for Tuesday, petal, so each letter represents something. So P stands for point, E stands for evidence. By the way, I need to rub this out because the times 3 is going to cover the rest of it. T stands for technique. Okay. A stands for analysis. And L stands for link. So let me explain it to those of you who don't know. And by the way, you're writing times 3 of these. Okay. So 3 of these paragraphs. So if we look at it in further detail, every paragraph you write must have a clear point. Okay, a clear statement, and whatever you say, remember in English, you have to back it up with evidence, relevant evidence. So find a quote that is relevant, and then after that, you need to find a technique. So that technique, for example, could be personification. So you identify the personification and then you analyze it. So what do I mean by analysis? So you look at the words, the phrases, and you look at the deeper meanings, the explicit and the implicit. So I'm just going to write this here. Hang on, let's do it in purple. So think about, whenever you look at the quotes and you want to get the top marks, okay, you need to think about the explicit and the implicit, okay? So when you are analyzing, look at the meanings, okay? Look at the deeper meanings of those words. So the explicit, students, is the obvious, okay? So the obvious and the literal meanings of those words. The implicit is when you read between the lines and use your inference, okay? And this here, the implicit here, is what's going to help you get the top marks, the 7 or the 8 out of 8. The explicit, most students do this anyways, you do it naturally, but the implicit is reading between the lines. So to those of you who joined our TikTok live previously, do you remember we spoke about Kino and the Scorpion? We spoke about how Kino and the Scorpion, it's perceived by the reader as if it's a predator-prey relationship, and the language they use, for example, they use zoomorphism, and the zoomorphism is used intentionally by the writer to depict this predator-prey relationship. So commentary like that, does that show implicit inferences? Yes, it does. Exactly. Thank you. Right? So leave a thumbs up if you understand what I'm saying here. So that we all are on the same page. Excellent. Exactly. So these are things that you need to do. And then after you analyze, okay, in detail, by the way, make sure, like I said, I always refer to the mark scheme, okay? Let's do it in pink. Let's just make it multicultural. Oh, sorry, colorful, right? Sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted. So your analysis needs to be perceptive and detailed. Perceptive and detailed analysis. Okay, that is a must for your success. Okay, is it like AO3? What is times 3? Times 3 is like you're looking at 3 paragraphs. That's correct. Okay, so if you follow this, okay, and you follow this, then you should be good for Tuesday. Now, just to remind you, do I have to still have a paragraph on sentence forms? No, you don't. Can I have one paragraph on adjectives, verbs, adverbs? Yes. And can I have 2 paragraphs on the techniques? Yes. Okay. So don't stress over the sentence forms. If you don't find anything significant, it's not the end of the world. You still can get full marks. Okay. So I just wanted to identify and remind you. Okay. So if you are providing detailed analysis for number 1 and 2, so your words and phrases and your language features and techniques, and it's detailed and you've got a range of quotes, it's perceptive, then you still have that opportunity to get 8 out of 8, okay? So that is question 2 covered in detail, the template, step by step, with the mark scheme, everything covered on one sheet of paper. Explicit is the obvious, what is clearly written. Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Ikra. Ali, what's the best way? What's the best way to improve those skills? Practice, okay? And this is exactly what I teach in our online tuition. So if you want to sign up and join my classes, then you can simply fill in the form via TikTok to find out about our classes, our prices, and this is what we teach you. Every week, every lesson, we practice. I mark it, provide you with feedback, and that's how you develop these skills. It doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's over practice, okay? Explicit means obvious. Yeah, thank you very much, okay? Leave a thumbs up if you are happy with question 2 before we move on to question 3. Do you use AO3 on this question? No, it's AO2, right? So for this question, you use AO. You are being assessed on AO2. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Maya and Z. To everyone else, how did you find my explanation for question 2? Was it clear? Did I go over it in thorough detail? Do you have, importantly, do you have a better understanding as well? Let me know in the chat, and then we can discuss in further detail. The live is lagging. Really? Okay, I didn't know that. Is the live lagging? I don't think so, because from my side I don't really see. It seems everything's clear and it's working fine. All good. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. So let's move on to question number 3. Okay, now question number 3. What is question number 3 about? So let's dive in and let's have a look at it in further detail. So the good news with question number 3, every single year it's the same question, right? It's copy and paste, copy and paste. And to be honest, this is actually one of my favorite questions, okay? Because it's always the same and it's so easy to find all the structural features. So let's have a look at it in further detail. So it reads the following, and like I said, it's the same things year in, year out, okay? That's the beauty. Once you have learnt it, it's the same things over and over again, right? So question 3, you now need to think about the whole of the source, okay? So the whole of the source, so key word here is whole. Now, what I mean by this here, you need to show a range, okay? A range of evidence. Now, the range of evidence you are going to show in your exam on Tuesday has to obviously be from the beginning to the middle to the end. Okay, so this is something. Well, sorry, I think it got cropped out. I'm going to have to just zoom out slightly because otherwise it's going to get cropped out. There we go. Now, you need to ideally focus on each individual paragraph, okay? So, this text is from the beginning of a novel. How has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? So, importantly, what are the key words here? How has the writer structured? How has the writer structured, meaning organized, okay? How has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? So what is it that they do that makes it interesting for the reader, okay? So whatever you say, remember we always say link, right? As teachers, we always say link back to the question, link back to the question. What is it that interests the reader? So you need to be specific here and elaborate. You could write about, so again, the bullet points they provide you with, it's there for a reason. What the writer, so I'm just going to highlight that, what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning of the source. So should you tell us what happens in the beginning and the focus at the beginning? Yes, you should. Number 2, how and why the writer changes its focus as the source develops. So the changes in focus, change in focus. You will always see a shift in focus. That's important. So from the beginning, you will naturally see changes in focus from one character to another, or a change in setting. So these are all shifts in focus, okay? And the last one, any other structural features that interest you. So that's basically the structural features that we've gone over during our online lessons and TikTok lives and YouTube as well. So just to go over it very quickly, structural features, can you comment below? Let me know just some structural features that you can pick out for your exams for language paper 1. Let me know in the chat. What are some structural features you can consider and discuss? Comment below. So what are some structural features or structural techniques you can mention and talk about? Excellent. So we've got sentence, paragraph lengths, flashbacks. Excellent. Well done. Repetition, zooming in, zooming out. Exactly. So, I'm just going to make a note of these. Okay. So we've got shift in focus. Okay. Zoom in, zoom out. You can talk about chronology. You can talk about analepsis, prolepsis. You will probably find these on Tuesday. Foreshadowing. So I'm listing all of them, and I can guarantee you will find them, at least some of them. Okay. Foreboding. A cyclical structure. What else? Anything else? Have I missed anything? Oh, dialogue. Tenses as well. So, is it written in present tense, past tense, future tense? What's the effect of that, and how does it make it interesting? Another one. Is it written in first/third person? Or does it shift? You may see a shift, by the way, from first to third. So you may want to talk about what's the effect of that as well. So yeah, so things like that you can talk about in terms of structure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, paragraph lengths. Paragraph lengths. Sentence lengths. So if the writer, so on Tuesday, if you have a one sentence paragraph, so for example, on Tuesday, if you have a one sentence paragraph, you can talk about how that's being used to shift the focus, that can be used to build tension, X, Y, Z, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've got 13. I may have missed a few, but regardless, these are some devices that you will find guaranteed in your exam. So, the easiest ones for your exam for Tuesday students, I always shift in focus, you will always find. Now, just to elaborate on your shift in focus, let's do it in green. You may ask, but sir, like you always talk about shift in focus. What do you mean by that? So how do they shift in terms of characters? So for example, the Kino extract, Kino and the Scorpion, how do they switch focus from Kino to Joanna, or Kino and the Scorpion, whatever. So you can see that through the character, you can see it through the setting as well. So do they go from inside to outside or outside to inside and vice versa? If so, what's the impact of that? That's something for you to talk about when we talk about shifts in focus. Now, the shift in focus obviously continues from the beginning, middle, and end. Now, how many paragraphs are we writing for this? Again, same concept times 3. Okay, you are writing 3 paragraphs for this, and you can use PEEL here. Point, evidence, explain, link. Okay, who's heard of PEEL? Let me know, leave a thumbs up. Have you all heard of PEEL before? Who's heard of PEEL before? P stands for your point. Excellent, thank you. E, evidence. E, explanation. And L, link. Okay, so your link is obviously, you link it back to how it interests the reader. So let me just elaborate. Thank you so much. So here, your P stands for point. So you need to establish a clear point. So if you have 3 paragraphs, just to simplify it, remember this is easy education, right? So your first paragraph would be focusing on the beginning. So how does the writer use structure in the beginning? So that's already 1 paragraph. Number 2 is obviously on the middle. So how does the writer use structure, and how do they shift focus from the beginning to the middle? And remember, each paragraph you write, you're using PEEL, okay? And when you're using PEEL, you'll see how everything comes together. And the third one is the ending. Important, because remember, look, if I zoom out, It's the whole source, students. Please, I really want everyone to do really well. Okay. I genuinely want everyone to do well. That's why I'm doing this YouTube live. Okay. In all honesty, I don't have to do this YouTube live, but I'm doing it because I want to help as many students as I can and provide as much value. So make sure on Tuesday you have these 3 individual paragraphs. One for the beginning. So one paragraph using Peel for the beginning. Second paragraph focusing on the middle of the extract using Peel. And the third paragraph focusing on the end using Peel. Now, when you use this, let's say number 1, paragraph 1, which is on the beginning, you're using Peel, you need to find one of these blue devices and fit this in for paragraph number 1. Same thing, number 2, you're using Peel, focus on what is in the middle, what do you find from this list, and you'd fill it in, and what do you find towards the end using this list, using Peel. 3 paragraphs, follow this for success. Easy? Let me know in the chat. I hope I've explained it in detail. Leave a thumbs up if this is a simplified structure and template for you to follow to get top marks. Let me know in the chat, do you all understand this? I hope you understand the structure. What's analepsis? Analepsis is a flashback. Yeah, it's a flashback. Thank you, Z. Prolepsis is flash forward. Excellent. What exam board is this? This is for AQA. Perfect. Okay, excellent. Did you all understand Sir's explanation here in terms of structure? I do feel like I have covered in thorough detail. By the way, in terms of the mark scheme, okay, this is still under AO2. Okay, structure falls under assessment objective 2. I don't know some of the techniques. How can I learn them? Best approach, I would say, at this moment of time, Paradaj, I would say you need to watch our video on structure. So I know it's quite last minute, but honestly, the best approach right now is to head over to our YouTube channel. And if you watch the video on structure, okay, so best approach is to watch our video, watch my walkthrough, watch my model answer, and it's all there. Why do you keep airing my questions? I'm not hearing anyone's questions. Like I said, I'm trying my best to answer all the questions. Okay, what exam board? This is AQA. Happy? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, it's not easy, right? It's not easy. I'm trying my best, okay, to answer everyone's questions. By the way, I'm not just looking at the screen. I'm not just looking at the screen. I'm also looking at the tablet. Now, in terms of timing, that's a good question for question 3. Going to move on to question 4 very soon. Question 3, as you can see, it's 8 marks, right? So if it's 8 marks, you are looking to spend roughly, okay, let's write this, 10 to 12 minutes. So if it's 10 to 12 minutes, how long do you spend on each paragraph? Look, can you see here in the corner? The beginning, middle, and end. Remember, Sir mentioned 3 Peel paragraphs. How long per paragraph? Can I borrow your brain? Yeah, that's fine. How long should you spend on each paragraph? If we say it's 12 minutes, how long should you spend on each individual paragraph? Does anyone know? I'm sure we've got some mathematicians here. If it's 12 minutes, excellent. Thank you. So 4 minutes. Well done. That's correct. Okay. So 4 minutes per paragraph. Okay. You may be able to stretch it to 5, but ideally you don't want to spend that long. So the point I'm trying to make, you do have to be quite quick, in all honesty. So do not be one of those students who's falling behind. You have to be quick, okay? The English exam, the time does go by really quick, okay? Right, so we're going to have to move on. Leave a thumbs up if you are happy with question 3. I hope I've explained it in detail. Like I said, everything summarized, simplified on one sheet of A4. Leave a thumbs up if you are happy with Sir's explanation, and then we can move on. Thank you, Ikra. I can see some of you, I can recognize your TikTok names from our TikTok lives as well. So thank you, a massive thank you to you all for supporting. I really appreciate it. Thank you, excellent. Thank you, Nightlife, excellent. Perfect. So let's move on to, thank you, Karim. Excellent. Right, so let's move on to question number 4. Now, this is the most important question for Tuesday, okay? This is the most important question. I struggle with time. So this is exactly what we teach you, how to manage your time management in our online tuition. So if you are interested, you can sign up. The link is in our TikTok bio. And to find out about the prices, things like that, you'll find it all there, okay? Now, what is question 4 about? It's evaluation. Now, when you are evaluating, you are almost acting like a book critic. So you're looking at how the writer uses methods. You're looking at the ways the writer uses methods. So the methods here includes how does the writer use language? How does the writer use structure? Okay? And importantly, how does it prove the student statement as being accurate? So if we look at it in further detail, it says, focus this part of your answer on the second part of the source from line 16 to the end. So all your quotes, all your quotes need to be from line 16 to the end. Okay? Anything above is not relevant. You shouldn't be using. Okay? Because it's not going to help you anyways answer the question. A student said, while it seems that the old man is widely seen as a failure, in this part of the story, the writer shows that the boy still has faith in him and that they greatly respect each other. To what extent do you agree? So, this tells you you should agree with it. Do not be one of those students who thinks, oh, you know what, I'm going to be different. Okay, I'm going to be different and the examiner's going to give me extra marks. It doesn't work like that. You need to make sure you make your life easy. Okay, so if you agree with it, you may agree with it entirely, you may agree with it partially, but if there are parts or if there are snippets of the statement that you disagree with, you need to justify it, you need to prove it, you need to find evidence. If you find evidence, if you have evidence, then that's completely fine. In your response, you could consider your own impressions of the old man as a failure. So, first of all, I'm just going to highlight that. That's very important. So, this question allows you to express yourself. So, can I use words like I think, I believe? Yes, you can. It's your opinion. You are providing your judgment. So, this is what we mean by evaluation. Now, your evaluation, okay, just for your information, whoops, why am I using the highlighter? Hang on, let's go back to the blue. No, hang on, let's go to green. Your evaluation needs to be convincing. Okay? It needs to be convincing. It needs to be persuasive. Because that shows critical understanding of the text. And importantly, if you can show it with language and structure, number 1, and number 2, you are on your way to getting top marks. A lot of students just focus on number 1 and they disregard and forget about number 2, structure. Number 2, evaluate how. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the word how. Evaluate how the writer presents the respect between the boy and the old man. Now, the key word is evaluate, right? Evaluate is to provide your judgment, your verdict, and you have to prove it as well. So in an English language paper, prove it. But you may ask, but sir, what do you mean prove it? Yes, prove it through the writer's methods, language and structure. What language techniques, what structural devices has the writer used to show you the student's statement being correct, being accurate? Finally, support your response with references to the text, okay? Now, what top students do, okay, another top tip for you to consider is using a range of evidence. Use a range of evidence. That's what top answers demonstrate, okay? Another thing you need to remember for question 4, consider alternative. Hang on, what's happened here? Let's see. Okay, sorry. Alternative viewpoints. And explain why it is invalid. So you may use words like some students may argue or some people may disagree because whatever. However, this is invalid or this is incorrect because in the text it states ... which suggests that the student statement is accurate. So if you can show these alternative viewpoints, then that shows fantastic evaluation. That shows critical evaluation. Remember, yes, it needs to be convincing, absolutely, but it should also be critical as well. Okay, because that's what will help you get the top marks. Now, in terms of the structure, like I said, you can still use PM, no problem. Okay, so let's use purple. So again, point, evidence, explanation, link, but this time round we are looking at least 4 of these. Okay, so PEEL, point, evidence, explanation, link. The link here is you linking back to the statement and how the statement is accurate. Okay, but the same concept applies. 4 of these. You could have 2. Okay, 2 could be on number 1, language, how the writer uses language to prove this statement as correct. And you could also have 2 on structure. Okay, and if you want at the end, you can have a conclusion as well, giving your overall verdict. And that's it. That's your question for summarized. I hope this makes sense. Any questions, let me know in the chat. I hope it's clear. Let me know in the chat. So do you all understand question 4 now that we've gone over it? Yes, good, excellent. Thank you, Daniela. How long do we spend on this question? So if it's 20 marks, you're looking at 25 minutes. Okay. For question 2, how do you get perceptive analysis? Because I always get 6 out of 8. So that's a good question. So I would say you can either think of an additional point, so another point on the words and phrases, or you can look at another language technique, or you can look at punctuation and look at the effects of punctuation. You can look at how sentence forms are used for effect. So if you feel like you are always hitting 6 out of 8, think of additional points to make, because generally speaking, the more points you make, which are relevant of course, the more likely you are to get 7 or 8 out of 8. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Okay, perfect, excellent. So it seems like everyone's happy. Okay, excellent. So that's question number 4. So well done. That is your section A covered, your full walkthrough for English language paper 1. So thank you so much for attending this YouTube live. I really appreciate you joining. So yeah, that's your paper 1 section A covered. Best of luck. I hope it goes really well on Tuesday. One top tip I'm going to give you. Okay, please can you double tap and like this YouTube live? I would really appreciate it. So thank you so much. So one top tip I'll give you, please. I want to hopefully get some feedback on Tuesday from you all saying you went really well, okay? Because like I said, I know some of you, I teach you here, you're part of our online tuition, whatever. But most of you, like I said, if I don't, that's completely fine. But the point is, I actually want you guys to do really well in your exams. So what is it that needs to be done? Okay, you need to make sure your question for evaluation is in detail, is in depth, okay? And you do not mess up this question because it's 20 marks. Those 20 marks can decide what you get. 20, look, I know there are some mathematicians on this YouTube live. 20 out of 80, that's a quarter of your paper. That's 25%. That's your evaluation, right? If you do well here, you put yourself in a very good position. Leave a thumbs up if you agree. Even if you struggled, with, let's say, if I swipe, even if you struggled and if you feel like you messed up question 3, question 2, question 1, you can still do really well, okay, by simply answering question 4 in thorough detail, okay? So I always say this, question 4, super important for your success, okay? Any ways to learn how to make your stories more impressive? So I would say right now, this a secret or a hack I actually teach my students, just to add some sophistication to the story. I like to add like Greek mythology. So who's heard of Zeus, Poseidon, Hercules, you know, things like that? Have you heard of Greek gods? So we sometimes do refer to Greek mythology just to make our story sound more sophisticated. So that's something that I would advise. And you know, these are things that can actually impress the examiner and add a twist as well. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Now, what we're gonna do. So we've covered. Thank you so much. I think this YouTube, but yeah, I do believe, in all honesty, this YouTube live is very productive. I think it's of high quality. I hope you all feel the same as well. So we're gonna look at English language paper 1 section B. Okay, and we can. Don't they reduce marks for that? No. Why would they reduce marks for that? That shows you're using. Look, that's the beauty of English. You're using your imagination. There's no right or wrong answer. There's nothing in the mark scheme, okay, that states, oh, that this will reduce your marks, okay. Even if you were to pre-plan and memorize your paragraphs, you can't. You know, in English, you can't get caught for plagiarizing. Okay, so I don't know. It's every single year. I feel like there's always like these kind of, what's the word? It's not coming to my mind. What's the word that I'm looking for? Rumors, okay? Or rumors or sayings, whatever, that are just simply not true. There's no evidence for it, right? Now, last question for today, question 5, is the important question, right? This is the make or break. Okay, so after this, we're going to do a short Q&A and then we're going to call it a day, okay? Because I know many of you want to go to sleep early, and myself as well, I've got work as well, you can imagine. I've got things to do as well. So don't worry, I'll try to answer your questions at the end, etc. Right, section B, writing. So it is worth 45 minutes, so make sure you time yourself accurately. You're looking to write roughly 4 to 6 paragraphs, okay, and it's 40 marks. Now, you get 24 marks for your content and organization, 16 marks for your technical accuracy, so that's your AO5. The quality of your ideas, how you express it, and your 16 marks technical accuracy is your SPAG, basically. So using a variety of spelling, punctuation, so using a variety of punctuation, and having the correct grammar. Now, what are things that you need to do to get the top marks? Very, very simple. It's always the same. I always say this, okay? You need to, first of all, use a range of language and structural devices. That's number 1. Number 2 is to use a range of punctuation. So your semicolons, your colons, your brackets, your hyphens. So that's that. Number 3, sorry, excuse my dodgy handwriting, is using a variety of sentence openers. So don't just start your sentences with the, or as I. So E.G, you may use a verb opener. You may use an adverb opener. So show variation, because that's what impresses the examiner. You may use a compound adjective opener. So to those of you who I teach, you would know, we've gone over this many times. You guys have probably heard me say this a million times during our online classes. Verb openers, adverb opener, compound adjective. You may begin your paragraph or sentence with a prepositional phrase. And the last one, which a lot of students know but they don't use for some reason, a simile opener. Okay, because usually a lot of students use a simile towards the end of the sentence. So see if you can use at the beginning of the sentence. And then another thing, going back to the basics, if you go back to Key Stage 3, continuously show, not tell. Okay, so show, not tell. So don't tell us he was angry. Okay, don't tell us he was angry, because that's boring. Show us. He clenched his fist, stomped across the room, and slammed the door behind him. Isn't that more effective? Isn't that more evocative, right? Compared to just saying, he was angry. That's boring. That's dumb. Okay. Also, the last point here, I would say, is finally to use sensory language. Sensory language, very, very important. These are the things that you need to consider when writing your answer. So that's all I am going to say for your creative writing for now. But we've spent a lot of time on it previously on TikTok Live. If you want to see my answers, it's all on YouTube. Go through it this evening before you go to sleep. Even tomorrow morning, if you want to, kind of watch the videos, then no problem, watch it and use that to help you remember for your exams on Tuesday. So what we're going to do is we are going to come towards the end of this TikTok Live. TikTok Live, YouTube Live. So a massive thank you to you all. So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes doing a short Q&A. And also anyone who wants to sign up to my classes, you obviously got to see how I teach, okay? So if you want to join my classes and get that support and make excellent progress, to find out about our class prices and timings, simply send us a direct message on TikTok, and our admin team will notify you about the class pricings and the timings, and if there's any availability as well, okay? So comment tuition if you are interested in joining my online tuition to find out about the prices and the class timings and if there's any spaces left. We only have a few spaces left. So just comment tuition on the chat if you are genuinely interested to enroll and sign up for our online tuition. What order should you answer the questions in? It's up to you. I would say, look, there's no right or wrong. Personally, I would start with question 5. So we know it's 45 minutes, so spend the first 45 minutes getting that question out of the way. How can I expand my vocabulary? I feel like I don't have many interesting words to use. So I would say, this is what I teach during our online classes. So I give my students a vocabulary list. So every lesson, I basically provide them with 5 new words for them to learn, memorize. So on one side, they've got the definition. On the back, they've got the examples. So before they go to sleep, they actually go through those flashcards, and we use it during our class discussions. So it goes from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. So have a vocab list, create flashcards, and flick through those every night. So instead of like using your phone before you go to sleep, if you were to actually do this on a regular basis, I promise you, that will improve and expand your vocabulary. Paradajaz, okay, paradaj. So I hope that answers your question. Do examiners look at the picture when they mark the question 5? If they don't, does it mean when we have to write about the picture? No, it doesn't. It's just there for inspiration. So if you take your story from a different angle, that's completely fine, because they're concerned. What are they concerned about? They are more concerned about the quality of your answer, okay? Because there's no right or wrong answer. It's just there as a prompt. It's just there for inspiration. Do you writing a story or a description is better? So like I said, it's up to you. Some people like blue, some people like red. There's no right or wrong. Personally, I'm choosing the story. That's just my opinion. But if you want to choose the description, that's completely fine as well. Also, just some feedback from yourself. How did you find my YouTube Live, the full paper 1 walkthrough? I hope I've covered everything. I hope it was of quality. I hope my teaching was good. Let me know. Give us a score out of 10. Obviously, we can't cover everything like model answers, because then it's just going to be too long, and I do have other things to do, and I do need to prepare for the week ahead. So I hope you will understand that as well. But importantly, I hope I've been able to provide you with value. Comment below, give us a score out of 10. How did you find this YouTube Live? How did you find my teaching? Did you find it helpful? We went through the template, the step-by-step plans. How do I go from a 3/4 out of 8 to a 6 to 8 out of 8 on my question 2 and 3, paper 1, nightlife? So I would say think of additional points to make. So the more points you make, the more likely you are to pick up marks. And also expand and develop your analysis. So expand and elaborate on your analysis and see a nightlife if you can provide like alternative interpretation, because that shows perceptive understanding of the text. Okay, so I would say that is what you need to do, and that's your recipe for success for Tuesday and Thursday. Additional points that are relevant to the question will encourage the examiner to give you the 6, 7, or 8 out of 8 because it's in depth. Okay, Daniela, very clear and helpful, even though I missed question 2. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Anyone interested in signing up to my online classes where you would get that support from myself via Zoom, with students around the country as well who are achieving fantastic results thanks to our amazing classes? Comment tuition if you are interested, and I can give you some generic overview of the classes and how we can benefit you and help you achieve success for your exams. Anyone interested in signing up? Because I literally have only a few spaces left on the Wednesday, but every other day is almost entirely booked. Okay, so let me know if you are interested. So just comment tuition, and then we can talk about it in further detail. So we've got another 3-4 minutes, and then we are going to talk about it in further detail. There's no point for me to join because my exam is on Tuesday and Thursday. That's true actually, and to be honest, I don't think I'll have any slots available on the Tuesday and Thursday because I'm fully booked there. Are you going live tomorrow too? No, unfortunately not. Monday I don't go live because I've got a full day, so working in school, and then after in the evening I've got bookings for our online tuition. So it's back to back, and then by the time I finish, it's like 9:30, and that's too late to be honest, right? To go live on TikTok. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube. Can you all give us a score out of 10? How did you find Sir's YouTube live? Please be fair and reasonable. If you just joined, then it's unfair. But if you were here for at least half an hour to an hour, give us a score out of 10. How did you find it? Comment below. How did you find it, etc. 10 out of 10. Thank you, Nightlife. I really appreciate it. Excellent. That's really good. So I'm really glad that I was able to get a 10 out of 10. That's amazing. Anyone else? How did you find the YouTube live? Did you benefit from it? Do you feel more confident now that you attended this YouTube live? Thank you, sir. No problem, Ikra. That's completely fine. 10 out of 10. You really explained well. Thank you so much. Have you all subscribed as well to our YouTube channel? Because we've got lots of exciting videos on the way. To those of you who gave 10 out of 10, any year 11s, you should definitely consider signing up to our classes because this is your time to start. We have exclusive exam papers. I've got cheat sheets, I've got templates, I've got predicted papers, we've got PowerPoint slides, etc. So anyone interested in joining my tuition, trust me, I can tell you for sure, I've got a fantastic track record of helping students achieve grade 7s, 8s and 9s. So anyone interested, comment tuition on the chat, and then I can give you a breakdown of the classes. A 10 out of 10, very helpful. Excellent, thank you so much. What's emotive language? So emotive language is basically words, phrases that evoke a particular emotion. It makes you feel a certain way. So for example, if you are reading a story about an abandoned house and the writer uses emotive language, they will use negative adjectives. Okay, let's say if there's a character and they're trapped inside the house, they could use negative adjectives to make the reader feel sympathetic. The character is feeling nervous, they're feeling apprehensive, and as a result, right? And as a result, you realize, hang on, you realize you feel sympathetic. Is it evoking an emotional response? Yes, it is. Then that would be an example of emotive language. Very, very useful. That I'm glad to hear. That's amazing. Can you comment your year group on the chat as well? What year group are you in? Are you an adult student? Because I do teach adults online as well for English. You simplified it very well. Believe me, I get confused with my teacher, Adab Saray. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So, this is easy education, right? So, did we make your education easy? That's the whole aim, right? My goal, my objective is to make your education easy, and not to overcomplicate things. Very, very useful. Thank you. What do you do if you don't understand the extract, cause of exam stress, and the style of writing? Um, okay, so that's a good point. So I would say you basically need to go through the language devices. Okay, you'll always find language devices nightlife. So you always will find adjectives. You'll always find verbs. You'll always find adverbs, and those adjectives, those adverbs you find, they will always hold. They will hold a meaning, right? And you'll be able to just elaborate and talk about why the writer has used these adjectives, those verbs, those adverbs, things like that. So I hope that answers your question, right? And importantly, don't stress because there's nothing to stress about because if you stress, does it make anything better? If anything, it just exacerbates your situation. Okay, so it just makes things worse. So don't stress, don't panic. Just think to yourself, you're just like in class or you're at home. You're just doing a practice paper. I know it's easier said than done, but the truth is, there's no point of you stressing, right? You should go in there relaxed, calm, composed, and just try your best. What books would you recommend to help with English language? Um, do you know what? There's no specific book. I would just say reading a range of books, right? From fiction to non-fiction, newspaper articles, leaflets, listening to podcasts, watching documentaries, traveling. You know what? It's just that, to be honest, it is a combination of everything combined. So I don't have specific books that I would say that you should read. Okay, right. So and also, how likely are you to recommend our YouTube channel to your friends in school, or your colleagues, or your family? How likely are you to actually recommend our YouTube channel? Could leaflet come up for paper 2 question 5? It can, but it's highly unlikely because the main task is persuasive writing. So even if it's a leaflet, the same body of text is required. So don't panic. Even if it's a leaflet, you still have to use like De Forest. You still have to use similes, metaphors, direct address, repetition, rhetorical questions. So, things like that you need to consider. Right, the next TikTok live will not be tomorrow on Monday. It will be on Tuesday evening. So tune in this Tuesday, where we are going to continue on TikTok live, and then we're going to transfer over to YouTube as well. The YouTube live is more detailed and it's more bespoke. It's more tailored, and it's of high quality as well. So thank you so much for attending. Comment below. Do you prefer my YouTube live or my TikTok live? Just comment below. Honestly, I don't really mind whichever one you prefer, but just out of curiosity, do you prefer my YouTube live or my TikTok live? Comment YouTube, comment TikTok. Which live do you prefer? And then we will slowly wrap up. And I just wanted to say a massive thank you. I genuinely mean this. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I already talked much about you in my class. So thank you so much. What year are you in, Adab? Are you in year 11 or year 10? And yeah, please, can I ask you for a massive favor? If you share this with your friends in school, I really would appreciate it because, it's like a domino effect, if that makes sense, okay? YouTube, both. Tuesday at what time? So Tuesday evening, we're looking at. Hang on. Yeah, I've got bookings on Tuesdays. So we're looking to start around 8 p.m., 8:15, something like that. Is that okay? Forget Mr. Everything English, easy education on top. No, so I don't really like comparing. I just, I think we're all here. We should support each other, support other channels. And to be honest, I'm just like in my own lane, if that makes sense. I don't really pay attention to the others. I just want to work on myself and see how I can create the best videos. So yeah, like I'm not here to compare whatever with other channels, but we just want to spread positive energy. So you finished? Yeah, we're gonna finish now. See you Tuesday. Bye. Okay, thank you, Daniela. Thank you for the support. Tune in this Tuesday, and I think everyone's questions have been answered. So enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe, students. Work hard. Stay disciplined. Stay disciplined. That's a key word, and always say this to my students: you can achieve whatever you want if you stay disciplined, you work hard. You can achieve whatever you want, okay? And there's no one stopping you. The only person stopping you from achieving your goals is yourself, okay? So, you know, it's up to you. If you want to put in the work, you can achieve whatever you want, whatever you desire. So that is it for today. Please do follow us. I named you voice teacher. Okay, so what makes you say that? I named you voice teacher. Is that reason? So if you were to elaborate, Adab, is that a positive thing or a negative? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Adab. Anyone else have any last minute questions? If not, we are going to start wrapping up. It's been a busy weekend, to say the very least, but massive thank you to you all. Oh, I think because you don't show your face. Yeah. Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, excellent. Okay, that's fine. Right, so I think that is it for today's YouTube live. If you haven't, please share the YouTube channel with your friends, with your family. Share it on your WhatsApp group chats, your Snapchat group chats. Has everyone followed our Instagram as well? Please double tap and like this YouTube live, because it does really help us. I am going to close this YouTube live now. So just want to say best of luck. Honestly, I hope you benefited. Spread positive energy, positive vibes. Stay motivated. And yeah, like I said, if I don't see you again, I wish you the best with your future. And yeah, chase your dreams. So thank you very much. And I shall see you all very soon. Take care and peace.